Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired. Generationally Speaking.
Welcome back to the J4 Podcast Show, live from the underground. I want to thank you for tuning in, whether it's the morning, night, afternoon time. Thank you for joining me. I have a special guest today, one of my best friends ever in the world. I'm so glad he had time today to come sit down in the show in the live right in the underground. He is a dedicated Philadelphia fan. When I mean dedicated, this guy was there from the beginning. Randall Cunningham, Donovan McNabb. He used to whoop us badly in the Donovan McNabb era of Madden. This man is a Philadelphia lifer. The Deuce Dailies, Brian Dawkins, everybody from the Philadelphia past. This dude reps the Philadelphia green harder than anyone. Sometimes it gets on my nerves, but he's always been a good friend. Welcome, D West, better known Delonte Wesley.
Appreciate you.
Welcome.
Glad to be here on a Saturday. Got some time. Talk some sports with my man Jay. Let's get it.
Thank you. So we want to get into first because there's been a lot of news coming in about the Tush push and people trying to ban the Tush push. And I just basically want to get an idea of how you feel as a Philadelphia Eagle fan. Do you want to get rid of the Tush push? Do you think it's too much with one particular play? What are your particular feelings exactly about the Tush push and the need to get rid of it or the need to people wanted to keep it?
So Tush push to me was better known as the Beverly Shove. It's become iconic in Philly. I look forward to seeing it on every 1 yard. We need an inch. I look forward to seeing it. And, you know, there's other teams that try to run this play, including Green Bay, Buffalo. It's teams that are trying to run it, and they cannot run it, you know, more consistently like we do. So, to me, it didn't matter if we got rid of it, but something in me wanted to keep the play around because it's become a staple of Philly, and I actually love the play. And you know, we got guys. If we didn't have it, I think we'd still get the first down. If it was 2 yards, 1 yard, we still would get it. But I'm glad that it's still staying around because it's a staple. Just because people wanted to get rid of it, that's why I wanted to keep it.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate because I do think it's one of those plays that it makes you really dig in deep to really try to stop. I don't think it's a safety play. I think what they were trying to say it was about being, you know, trying to be safety and have that concern about the players. I was always trying to figure out, well, what is the difference between catching the ball in the flat and having a running back, get ganged up by offensive lineman trying to give him a push, or a tight end might catch the ball for something short, and then, you know, a defensive lineman or defensive linebackers all gang up and try to push him backwards. So are you just going to ban the push altogether, or what? I never really got the idea of that. And I, you know, as a 49er fan, I know we voted against the play. I was kind of disappointed in us because I wanted to see the play actually be stopped as any other play. I don't think it gives anyone an advantage. I just think that a lot of teams can't emulate the play, and so
it makes them
yeah
envy the play when they can't run it properly themselves. And like I said, the play has 0 injuries, you know, 0 injuries. And it's not like we run the play 24/7 like throughout the whole game. It's more, we might run it between, you know, 2 to 3 times throughout the whole game. You know, it's not that bad.
No, I think, and you said this before, and I'm going to go back to it. You know, when you thinking about short yardage and trying to stop a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, you know how I've been in Madden for a long time about 4th down plays when you have a yard. If you have a play in your arsenal for 4th and 1, why not go for it? Like,
and it's ran at what, a 92% rate, you might as well run it,
Exactly. If you're going to be in a situation with a playoff game or in a game you have to win and it's fourth down and you're on the other side of your 50, I don't know why people punt. To me, at 4th and 1, we go.
But any play that was created or any defense that was created, people never call for a ban. People just, the defense or offense just find a way to stop it.
That's true.
And that's it. No play was banned.
Yeah, I've never heard of can you imagine if one day they said you can't do the shotgun formation, it was cheating, or you can't do a halfback option anymore, that's cheating, quarterback has to keep the ball. I don't know. I think that, people look at the play and if anything, it just doesn't look like a football play, but it's football. It's what Lombardi and Green Bay and all these people that like to worship Green Bay all the time, that straight physical, imano football. It's old school. And maybe that's what I think people don't want to see anymore. It's old school grid yard football.
And success rate of it, they don't want to see that neither, because they look at it as an advantage for us, which it is, but the play has been stopped.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. They make it seem like the play has never been stopped. It's been stopped by numerous of teams. You just have to dig in, and that's the part that people don't understand. It takes technique, obviously, and you have to be able to dig into as a defense to stop your momentum from being pushed backwards.
Of course.
If you can, because initially is to try to stand up the offensive lineman. You're not trying to push back the offensive lineman. You're just trying to stand him up. If he stands up, then he becomes obstacle for the runner to now he has to push this lineman who's not really in the most best.
The beautiful thing about it is 31 teams can run it. Like if you run it, run it.
Yeah.
Hey, we prepared for it. We'll go against it. If we do, we got to have a plan to stop it too.
I agree.
So the over 31 teams could do it. So I don't see why not, try it. Like I said, teams did try it. They wasn't successful, but it's something that we practice and something that we consistent at.
Yeah.
I don't look at it as no rugby play or anything like that.
Right.
It's something that my team practices and they're good at it.
Right.
So that's the way I look at it.
I agree. So we also talked about the Shador situation with him not being drafted, where a lot of people thought, including myself, I didn't. He was going to go with the Giants. I know you thought previously he'd probably go to the Giants, but I did think he was a first-round talent. I was shocked when he fell out of the first. And we learned about, some of you don't know, the Caleb Williams story about him and his father. Last year, Caleb Williams was the first overall pick to the Chicago Bears. It's now came out that in the Seth Wickersham book that Caleb Williams' father did not want his son to go to Chicago and did everything he could behind the scenes to prevent the Chicago Bears from drafting his son. We all know how that turned out. The Bears still drafted Caleb with the number 1 pick. They didn't care about, whatever the father was saying. So do you think, with knowing that information, that the NFL maybe bought themselves a little shield from the you're only doing this because of his father argument, or do you still believe that's still viable in this situation?
The Caleb Williams situation, I still think it's viable because, like I said, Shador, to me, I've seen him as being second best quarterback in behind Cam Ward. Cam Ward is better, but I've seen Shador. We could have an argument for Jalen Monroe and then probably Jackson Dart, but he should have been the second quarterback taken off the boards, if not by the Giants. And me and my friend Jason here, we had a bet that I said Shador was gonna go with the 3rd overall pick. I was wrong, and I had to acknowledge that and say, more knowledgeable in football than me, and that was our agreement on that right there. So, Shador actually went in the 5th round.
Yeah, but the NFL misevaluates and they get a pass, because if you look at Tom Brady, they celebrate Tom Brady and they say, well, he went in the 5th round. Well, he shouldn't have went in the 5th round. That's not something to be proud about. That means you misevaluated a great quarterback who ended up winning, so many Super Bowls. You didn't misevaluate Peyton Manning. You said Peyton Manning was, the best or one of the best quarterbacks coming out that year, and you were right. He was in Ryan Leaf. You evaluated him properly. Same thing for guys like John Elway.
Of course.
We give them credit when they get it right, but I think what I get upset with is the NFL. They don't take their, we got it wrong pill too, because you got it wrong with Tom Brady. You might be getting it wrong with Shador and countless others. George Kittle went, in the 4th, 5th round. Fred Warner went late in the draft. So you're not gonna tell me like they don't go in the first, but some of these guys should have clearly went within the 1st and 2nd rounds of the draft, and they didn't, which to me says you misevaluated the talent.
I don't want to say misevaluated, because the teams are going to look at it and say, hey, we did draft them, so we did evaluate them just a little bit. We might not have looked as much, but we evaluated this guy, and that's why we took him. So that's why I think teams could kind of like get away with it, because if they drafted him, he turns into a superstar, they can say, hey, we drafted him. Yeah. And that's the way of them getting away with it. But a lot of teams miss out. A lot of teams miss out on good to go in the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round. They turn into superstars. Yeah. It's part of the game.
It is. It's one of those things. It's no obvious science to it. We've been watching the draft for a while. There's been drafts to let you guys know that there's been drafts that we went to, and this guy to the left of me have literally said,
call players.
Someone's from my team is calling someone right now, and we're going to make a trade. And I kid all of you now who are watching this, that trade literally happened right after he has said something like, yeah, we're making a call, and Philly ends up making a trade. So I've seen you be able to call some draft things right. It's just, as long as we've been watching, we can truly say there's not really a science to it. And you try your hardest to evaluate as much as you can, but it's certain things me and you have, and there's certain information we don't have. So it's just very hard to say, Shador should be a 1st round pick compared to a 5th round pick. But then, like you said, you start looking at players ahead of him, you start waiting, man. Jackson Dart, Tyler Shaw, Gabriel Dillon. Is this who NFL teams are betting their franchise, their money on? And I wouldn't take that bet. I'm gonna leave you. I think he was the 2nd best quarterback in the draft. We'll see what Jackson Dart is gonna be. We'll see what Tyler Shaw is going to be. I don't think he'll beat Spencer Rattler. You don't think he'll beat Spencer Rattler?
Not at all.
So we'll see. Jackson Dart. I mean, right now,
he's gonna sit behind Russell Wilson. Jameis Winston.
Jameis, I wouldn't start him right away. There's no rush to. He would have to prove that he can beat a Hall of Famer and a pretty good quarterback just to touch the field. So I don't. His first year is going to be. So I think right now with the road to getting on the field is with Cam Ward, Jalen Monroe, and Shador Sanders, because I do think Shador can beat Gabriel Dillon. I do.
Yes, and then a Joe Flacco that's already should have stayed retired.
There you go. And then and honestly, you know what I was thinking about Flacco? You don't have to really beat him out. You just need to be ready. We know it's
of course.
It's gonna happen.
Of course.
We know. We don't know what.
Take one good hit.
There we go. Week 3, week 4, week 5. Matter of fact, I don't see it go past week 6.
And I don't want to throw Kenny Pickett under the bus, but he's not. Yeah, I don't see Kenny Pickett being in there for 2 games, if not, before he makes a lot of mistakes and end up losing his job to Dylan Gabriel, and then we'll see what Dylan look like, and then they can't hide Shador. The preseason is going to be here.
That's what's going to
be. The world eyes is going to be on him.
Yeah,
we're going to see what he got.
Yeah.
You cannot hide Shador.
I don't think they honestly, I don't think Dylan Gabriel is going to be able to beat him on the depth chart. I don't think into the depth chart right now, they might be even. And if it's even,
that's it.
That's it. I do think Shador will have the leg going up on him. Speaking of the rookies, now that we said that, we can segue into our first little segment we wanted to talk about. The rookies that we drafted this year. you've had a chance to look over your guys and tell us who you are excited about. I'll start. The first guy, obviously, Mikael Williams. I do think this kid is going to be a special player. As you know, Georgia linemen tend to have a special trait about them. You have to develop something else usually, but they usually come out NFL ready and ready to go. So I do think Mikael is one of those picks for us. I want to take a look at our safety that we drafted. I'm going to look up his name in a minute. I think he'll be interesting for us because with the present safety hurt, I forgot his name. That's amazing. I'm drawing a blank right now. But with our present safety hurt,
Funga.
No, Funga is what's called it. He got get picked up.
Okay.
So the other young, I'm gonna look it up in a minute. But from right now for you, who is a rookie right now you're excited about to see on the field and get to?
Well, the guy I'm most excited to see is a guy we drafted in the second round from Texas, Andrew McCuba. I want to see if we can fill the shoes of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That's something that still bothers me to this day because I think he was, a cornerstone in our franchise. Chauncey Gardner brought that dog mentality,
yes,
that grit, that nastiness to us.
Yes.
I call him and Jalen Collar the problem childs of our team.
Yep.
And you need a good 2 to 3 problem childs on your defense to make your defense nasty and elite. Mm-hmm. And I just want to see what Andrew McCuba's going to do, if he's going to match that intensity, or I just want to see how he can go from there. But Andrew McCuba is my number one guy that I'm looking for because that safety position is real key.
And the safety I was talking about is Marquez Siegel, Kansas State.
Okay.
He's going to have to step up a lot. Him, Mikael Williams, and unfortunately, unfortunately who I'm about to say next because of the shoes that he has to fill, but Nick Martin. Nick will be coming in filling Dre Greenlaw, and those are some big shoes to fill because Dre was a presence on the defense. And I'm not going to say Nick Martin right away is going to come in and take the league by storm, but I do think it's going to be a up and down year for him because of the shoes that he'll be coming in trying to fulfill. Hopefully he can get where he needs to be. I'm praying game 10.
He's coming in learning under a future Hall of Famer in Fred Warner.
Right.
I think he'll be fine, because Fred Warner was a guy, that taught Greenlaw a lot.
Yeah, he did.
Intensity. But Greenlaw just brought his personality, and it worked, Yeah. But Fred Warner bring Nick Martin along, and I expect for y'all defense, if not this year, next year, to be right back to what it was a year or 2 years ago.
Now, with you and the Philadelphia Eagles, we've talked about this a lot of times. We've always gone over who is that team in your division that you feel like, okay, they're going to be a problem to us. You've asked me before, and I'll tell you again for everyone, you usually say Seattle, and I do think eventually they're getting there. But to me, it's always going to be right now it's Rams.
The Rams, of course.
Yeah.
Well, my team right now is I want to say the Cowboys because Dak Prescott's coming back. A lot of people overlook Dak Prescott and say he's overrated and everything, but he literally owns our division.
Right.
So he's a problem.
Right.
He's going to be a problem. So I'm worried. I'm looking at him. They brought in George Pickens. To me, he was the number one receiver in Pittsburgh. CD is the number one receiver. I'm looking at the Cowboys. And their defense, I'm not sure how many players they added to that defense. I know they got they brought Dante Fowler back. They drafted Donovan Izaraku. So I'm still looking for their defense to be a problem too. Still a question mark on them, but I think they're going to be a problem too. So that's the main team I'm looking at. I know a lot of people probably expecting me to say the Washington Commanders, but they're going to be a problem too. But I'm looking more into how's the sophomore year going to go for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
That's what I'm mostly looking at.
Big question too.
Because a lot of people didn't pay attention to my guy down there, Stroud.
Mm-hmm. Yep, CJ Stroud.
Yep. We just knew.
Yep.
That second year he's coming back.
Yeah.
He's get 10 and go against Kansas City, and if not, he'll playing in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Will not make it more the championship game, and it didn't turn out that way. So I'm looking at the sophomore year with Jaden Daniels. And, the Giants, Russell Wilson,
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, we kind of see what we got from them. But do I expect them to compete? They're going to compete too.
Yeah.
Because Russell Wilson, he's at the end of his career, but he still got a good, I think, year or two left in him.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about how you feel about the Commanders. I feel about Seattle. I believe that Jalen Monroe puts them now on a clock. Now, they got two receivers already, or they got a nice receiver now with Jackson and Nigsby, or whatever his last name is.
Yeah.
I think Seattle that next team, but I don't think they're ready right now. Like you feel about the Commanders, like I think they're on their way, but not right now. I do think right now with us in the NFC West, I do think the Rams getting Devontae Adams.
I think there's a dark horse in your division, and I'm gonna go with the Cardinals because the guy Walter Nolan from Ole Miss.
Yeah,
the Hulk, he's dangerous. And him going with Josh Sweat, who was played for us in the Super Bowl last year. Now he's added to the Cardinals. So that front line is going to look at more.
And their head coach was you guys' defensive coordinator.
Of course, Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for them to be, you can't overlook them neither.
Right.
Because Marvin Harrison Jr. coming back this year. You got to look at the chemistry between him and Kyler Murray.
Now, do you think with Marvin Harrison Jr., because he started off so slow in the beginning, do you think he'll have a better start of the season, or do you think because of his size that he has to get accustomed into the league? Because it seems like he very much had to learn that he wasn't his dad, where his dad was a shorter guy, fast, get off the line. Junior's taller,
of course,
more built, and likely to be jammed at the line, and he had to learn to get off the NFL press. So do you think he'll be stronger now this year when it comes to getting off the NFL press and getting into his routes?
Of course, like I said, he had an interview and I seen him. It's like he's added the weight. Of course, he's got more experience. It's his second year going into it. He got more chemistry with Kyler Murray. I'm expecting for him not 1,200 to 1,300 yards this season. Okay. I'm expecting for him to do a lot better this year.
Nice.
Because, he had to get things figured out.
So we'll schedule, I guess we can segue this one into, are there any particular games, whether in October, September, November, that you're circling and saying right there, that's the game right there that we're going to figure out who we really are? Because I think for us, it's October, because the first game for us, October 2nd, is the LA Rams. That's the first meeting.
Okay.
So I believe the division starts to shape itself in October.
Okay.
Yeah. So for us, it's October.
I'm going, our first 4 games we got as a gauntlet. We got the Cowboys, we got Kansas City, we got the Rams, and we got the Tampa Bay.
That is a gauntlet.
And the Tampa Bay has our kryptonite.
That is a gauntlet.
That's a kryptonite for us. So
shame
I'm looking
on the
more
NFL
at
schedule.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah.
Shame on the NFL schedulers.
The first game is going to tell me a little something, but the third game, I'm not oversleeping Kansas City even, because they're going to be back out. We play in Kansas City, so they're going to be out, for their revenge. But that third game against the Rams, because they was the closest team to beating us in the playoffs. So, I know they really got it out for us. They coming back to Philly, and the team is a lot better this year. So I want to see. Rams is like one of the teams that I could kind of look at and be like, okay.
Yeah, I think, it's funny.
My team.
Yeah, we both said the Rams is one of our teams that we were going to be the measuring
one of the mainest, biggest threats in the NFC.
Because as far as our October, I do believe that the Rams is our number one game. But I think the end of October for us, when we play C.J. Stroud in Texas, I think that is, for a young team like we're going to have on defense.
Okay.
To go against someone like C.J. Stroud, I think is a perfect litmus test of like where are we at. Like,
of course.
Can we beat a good quarterback, or do we still need some time to develop? Because our defensive line is already young. We have Alfred Collins. We're gonna have Mikael Williams, C.J. West, all rookies.
Okay.
I think we're starting like 6 rookies on the defense.
Yeah, you lost a lot of players in free agency this year.
A lot of players.
Lost a lot of players
exactly.
this year.
So I think October is the gauntlet for the rookies. Like, if they can come out of the gauntlet above 500, the season might we might be at the playoffs, but I would not be shocked if we fought but we didn't make the playoffs this year because we're a young team on defense.
Yeah, like I said, the Rams in that division is the team I'm looking at right now, just because y'all lost so much.
Yeah.
Throughout the year, y'all lost a lot of players.
A lot of free agent losses.
A lot of free agent losses. So
I'm glad they signed Purdy. Now that we've had some, I don't know if you heard, I'll just break it down. The details of his contract is $53 million annually. I think he got like 256 guaranteed or something like that. Mm-hmm. It puts him in the market of the, I think, 7th or 8th highest paid quarterback. What do you feel about that contract, and do you think that was something he shouldn't have got, or he should have got, or what are your feelings?
I think it's something Brock Purdy should have got. This guy got you in 2 championship games, a Super Bowl. I think he deserved the money. He deserved to get paid what he got paid.
Yeah, I think where they put him at, honestly, was exactly where he should have been slotted. I would probably have slotted him $2 million less, but I'm being petty now.
Yeah, I think he deserved the money he got for what he's done. He came in, Mr. Irrelevant. This guy wasn't even expected to play or anything. And
at all.
For how far he took y'all team to the Super Bowl, almost winning the Super Bowl, going to overtime with Kansas City in 2 championship games. Unfortunately, he got injured when we played him in Philly. But, yeah, Brock Purdy, to me, he's a franchise quarterback.
That also be my next question. Do you believe Brock Purdy is a franchise quarterback?
I believe he is because, from what he's done, what he had to go through with the team. I think it's going to take him some time. Does he have all the physical attributes? No. Does he make very smart decisions and play at a high IQ and a high level? Yes, he does.
Okay. Well, everyone who might not know, you'll learn now. I do not think Brock Purdy is a franchise quarterback, but I do think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Let me just go ahead and record for you. I do think, let me say it from my can. I believe Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. Franchise quarterback, I define differently, okay? I define a franchise quarterback is we can have pure garbage at our XYZ tight end and running back, and we'll still go to the playoffs because we have a quarterback who will deliver the ball where it needs to be. I don't believe you can put anything around Brock Purdy and then think you're going to win. I believe you have to have talent and someone that is equivalent to what a Hall of Famer. I mean, you have to remember Christian McCaffrey is a good player. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he's a good player. You have to have those kind of pieces around players like Brock Purdy, or you won't really see what he can really do. Now, do I think once you have those pieces around Brock Purdy, can he win? Yes, I do think he can win a Super Bowl and win games.
That's kind of unfair for Brock Purdy because I've seen guys like Joe Burrow not have Jamar Chase, and we get the same results.
Yeah. I'll say this about Mr. Burrow. Joe Burrow is, to me, the office is not doing Joe Burrow right. They've spent too much money on the wide receiver position.
Of course.
They've got to.
They should have let T. Higgins walk.
Let one of them walk. I mean, at this point, one of them got to go.
Because same mind frame, the Bengals could be thinking just like you, like Joe Burrow could do it all. But he got the receivers. He got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but who's blocking for him?
Yeah, that's my whole point. My whole point is if you're going to believe in this quarterback as a franchise quarterback, why would you put so much money into the receiver position? You should, like I just said, you should just say, spread the wealth because we believe we got a franchise quarterback. So I don't know if Joe Burrow is as franchisey as the Bengals might think because they seem not to want to.
I will say this. Well, Joe Burrow, I think that if you're going to give him the money, I mean, if you're saying that the goal for it, you got to have a defense too. Like they didn't pay nobody on defense. You got Hendrickson down there. He hasn't got his money.
Yeah.
You still got to have a defense because even if Joe Burrow, you will want to get the ball back from him as many times as you can throughout the game.
Right.
So you can see what he really could do,
Yeah.
Because he's not getting the ball enough neither. He already don't have an offensive line. He don't have a defense getting on the ball back like there's only so much you could do too.
Is the front office of the Bengals or teams for the Bengals, should they have to take more responsibility on the scouting? Because to me, when you look at teams like Philadelphia, you have a good owner, as in Jeffrey Lurie, who then go find a good GM, as in Howie Roseman. And you have someone like Howie who can create a scouting system to go get you players that will help you when you're starting to pay quarterbacks at certain positions. That's why, to me, you can, when you look at the Philadelphia model, everyone's copy now, you can pay a quarterback if you know how to get talent in the draft and do what Howie does. You know, if you look at what Howie's doing when he gets in his draft, he finds the most valuable talent in the draft at a steal. And that's how you keep that team going when you're starting to pay guys. So do teams like the Bengals and their front offices to be held more accountable, or is it just something they have to be thinking about?
I think they should be held more accountable because they already have a guy in Shamar Stewart that's down there. He's a rookie.
Did he get signed yet?
He didn't get signed yet, and he's not participating in OTAs or anything.
Wow.
He's not doing nothing. Like,
that is,
wow. So it's just like y'all still
bad business.
Bringing in the wrong guys. You're not taking care of the guys that want to play, and it's still bad business with them.
I think that's one of the things that when you look at Cincinnati, the Browns, is that front office bad negligence that keeps trickling down generation after generation.
And I think that the Browns are going to get lucky. So to me, what I feel that the Browns might just quit drafting Shador in the 5th round. It's one of those teams that when they're trying to be good, they don't get the results. But when they just trying to be bad, trying not to do what they're supposed to do, it's going to
lands right in their pocket.
It's going to land right in their lap. It's going to work out for them.
Hey,
that's why I got the funny feeling that's going to happen with the Browns.
I wouldn't mind seeing that, honestly. If I saw Shador and I got to see him actually try, do pretty much show the critics that they got it wrong, I think that would be the ultimate, slap in the face.
And that's why I said it is. It's going to turn out that way.
Because
the Browns usually, when they weigh and draft a quarterback in like the top, between the 1st and the 5th pick, never works out.
So let me ask you.
But now you're trying to avoid a quarterback.
We're going down a dark hole now. Now I got to ask you something. Let's say the Browns do become good. Does that mean Joe Burrow ends up leaving Cincinnati and coming to the NFC, so to some team in the NFC? Do you see one of those? Because that division, the AFC North, is stacked right now. Because you got Lamar and the Ravens.
Of course.
You got
Pittsburgh. Well, Pittsburgh doesn't.
They do. Well, we'll go back to Pittsburgh and the Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, you have
it's like
the Ravens.
A landslide for Ravens to get into the playoffs because you don't have no quarterback with Pittsburgh.
And you don't have Aaron Rodgers out.
Now I looked at the headlines more and they talking about Kirk Cousins.
Really?
So you never know.
Wow.
But like I said, they don't have no stable quarterback.
None. No.
The Browns, they got young quarterbacks. Still can't say they stable. And the Bengals, they got Joe Burrow, but they don't have an offensive line. And the Ravens stack defensive linemen like it's nothing throughout the draft.
So the team, honestly, to beat is the Ravens. If you're looking at Cleveland, the team you need to be focused on
is the Ravens.
The Ravens, they're the most consistent team in that division. So let's take it to one of the last little things we can do. Our first steps on what, now that you've seen your division, what is your prediction for a record for your team? Do you have a prediction yet, or do you?
I'm going to say 12 and.
Pretty good.
I'm going to go with 12 and 5 because the way the schedule is, we don't have no back-to-back home games.
Right.
And first time in the NFL has did that.
Right.
Thank God we kept our brotherly shove.
Yeah.
Tush push. But the NFL is out for us, I think. But I think it's prepared and ready to go. But I see the Rams. I see the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
and we always usually go 1-1 with the Cowboys. And the Commanders, I think they kind of, I think we're gonna share 1-1 with them too.
Yeah.
And another team I'm looking at is got a feeling it's gonna be the Detroit Lions or the Denver Broncos, one of those games. But that's where I get it from. Yeah, the Rams, the Buccaneers, splitting with the Commanders, splitting with the Cowboys, and even Detroit or the Buccaneers.
Yeah, looking at our schedule, I'll be real with you. We won 6 games last year. I'm gonna really tamper down expectations a little bit. 9 games this year at best.
Okay.
9,
Okay.
9 and 8.
Okay.
If 10 games, then that will be the playoff team, that be the wild card team, I believe. I want to believe that we'll win the division, but to us to win the division, we would have to slop the division up. Like 10 wins would have to win the division. Like it'd have to be something like the division's completely slopped up, and 10 or 11 wins will win you the division. If that's the case, I like our chances. If not, 9 wins, 10 wins at max for us. I think you're looking at 6 starting rookies. I don't think they'll hit the ground running. I think they'll have to be molded as the season goes along, and they'll have to get past the injury situation, just the normal NFL kind of stuff that can happen to your team. I do believe there'll be a rainbow at the end, but I don't believe that this year will be the year of the rainbow. So I want to say about 9 and 8, 10 and 6.
Okay.
Yep. So before we finish out, we'll just NBA stuff. Have you seen the NBA playoffs, and what are your takeaways from everything if you've seen anything from the NBA playoffs? What
takeaways is, I think the Knicks, we're already saying, what kind of team they are. I don't think that they deserve to be there. Boston, kind of
got hurt.
Yeah, they got hurt. They, slacked off a little bit, because they was up 2 games. First 2 games, they was up by 20 points, and, the Knicks came back and got into the game, and they won those 2 games. And, Boston was the team that, everybody supposed to, everybody expected to go in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep.
But right now, we seeing that Pacers, a lot of, they catching fire at the right time.
Yeah. I think that's the story. The Pacers, the comeback kids, whatever you want to call them, they've really caught fire, and it's looking like Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, he's the guy that leads the way that I haven't seen Indiana since Reggie Miller was there. And I want to just say that on the West, told y'all about the OKC Thunder. My goodness.
SJ is out on the mission.
Oh my goodness.
And he's not gonna be denied. He already got the MVP.
Oh my goodness.
That guy's looking at winning the finals and getting his first championship. And they got the players. So it's gonna be interesting. A lot of people, like I said, there's a lot of parity in the NBA.
Man, a lot.
And the sad part, I haven't been watching that much, and I've been screaming parity forever, So I expect it, I'm gonna watch every game. I'm gonna go ahead and call it with the Pacers and OKC. I don't see the Knicks.
If it is the OKC and the Pacers, how long do you think? Who do you have winning in how many games?
I'm gonna say 6 games.
6 games and OKC. Got the Pacers at 6.
I'm not saying the Pacers neither. I think it's gonna be a tough series because
6 though.
Yeah, I gotta start sitting down looking at matchups on that. The SGA, I do know he's out for business, and take that. He already got the MVP. He want to take the NBA championship home.
Yeah, I got it. Also, Indiana and OKC. I can 6, man.
Okay.
I got OKC in 6.
That can definitely happen.
I like Tyrese Halliburton. I like the team, but what OKC has right now is just, it's not even fair. It's a starting lineup, the bench,
and both teams have the same thing,
right? And it's like, oh my God, I just don't see how you can sit your starters down when you're Indiana, and because it's just like they got a whole set of starters coming out from OKC's bench. Like, those guys are starters in other teams. Like, they can start for other teams. So just to know that that's the mountain they got to climb to get to the championship, I wish them well. I would love to see Indiana at 7, though. I mean, I won't mind being wrong. If it's Indiana at 7, I could take that too. But I got OKC in 6, man.
Yeah, I could go with that. Yeah, so we'll see. Like I said, it's getting interesting. You know, like I said, like SGA, you're not gonna be denied.
Hey,
He won it. He won it
call
real
him a
bad.
foul merchant. No, man, the dude, he just got game. It's like he doesn't have a pattern that you can figure out, and I think why people get upset with him, because it's almost like he's not anything that you can construct and kind of figure out. And I kind of respect the game, man. I respect the little youngin' game. He got handles, he got a shot, he'll go rebound, he'll assist. How can you not like the kid? He's one of those kids that he play ball, and
that's it.
You gotta respect him, man. I don't think he's a foul merchant. But yeah, I do believe the NBA gave us parity this year. I've been watching someone who has watched the parity. I watched the parity, and I love dynasties a little bit more than parity.
Of course, but
yeah, I've gotten used to this.
Well, I think the piece good, but other teams have to be better basketball too. The huge point deficits is getting out of control. It's out of control.
Yeah. Like
teams losing by 20 to 40.
Yeah.
The parity is good, but these teams got to be more competitive.
Right. I think that's going to, as we see changing of, and it's so weird. We're about to say changing of the guards from Steph to LeBron is kind of crazy that in just 5-6 years, those dudes will be gone. Like, there won't be no Steph Curry, there will be no LeBron James, there will be no KD. Those dudes will be gone, and we'll have nothing but the SGAs and the Anthony Edwards and all these shades.
But it's always a wave. It's always like that.
It's always like that.
Somebody, older guys gone, and then you got a new wave of players showing up.
Right.
And, we got a couple years to look at some good basketball play from the shooting guard position.
That's true. I want to thank all of y'all for tuning in, whether it's the nighttime, the daytime, the morning time. We're going to keep doing these monthly shows like always. I plan on trying to get my good brother Wesley in here, Delonte Wesley. Look him up on Facebook, IG. Hit him up. He's a good person to hit up when you're looking for Philadelphia Eagle news. He's a great Philadelphia fan. He's always tuned in to everything NFL. So please hit him up. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.